Forget everything we told you yesterday. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has changed his mind. He announced this morning that he would request full membership in the United Nations before the UN Security Council on September 23rd. Israel's prime minister has decided to speak at the UN in an attempt to defeat this request. Some people foresee a train wreck at the UN next week. Stay tuned for another edition of Politics and Religion.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on Earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it.
Well, just yesterday we told you that Mahmoud Abbas had changed his mind and that he was going to not apply for membership at the United Nations. However, that's all off because this article comes to us this morning from Israel National News. Palestinian Authority to ask UN Security Council for statehood on September 23rd. Now, let's make sure we understand what all this means. September the 23rd, of course, is a week from tomorrow. Originally, the date was going to be September the 20th. Now then, September the 23rd. Don't know exactly why there's been that discrepancy, that change, but that's the way it is. The article states that the Palestinian Authority has announced it will submit its application to the United Nations Security Council to appeal for recognition as a new country and attain acceptance in the world body. Now, this is not the General Assembly. This is the UN Security Council, where the United States of America has veto power. Already, our government has said to the Palestinians, we will veto this resolution if it comes before the UN Security Council because we don't agree with what you're doing. We do not believe that a peace can be reached by unilateral action on the part of the United Nations. We believe it has to be reached by negotiation between the two involved parties. Nevertheless, for some reason, Abbas is saying, look, we're applying. If you veto it, then you're going to isolate yourself diplomatically. But we are applying because most of the nations of the world, we believe we have the majority with us, and that it will throw you and Israel into an isolated status. So that's what's coming down right now. Let me give you a little bit more of the information. PA Foreign Minister Riyad al-Malki announced Thursday that the entity plans to submit its bid for full UN membership with the Council on Friday, September the 23rd. The announcement ended speculation that Abbas would consider alternate plans forwarded by various diplomats who frantically tried to dissuade the PA from pursuing a unilateral course via the UN. Nevertheless, a parade of envoys from the United States, the European Union, and the Quartet of Nations, comprised of the U.S., Russia, the EU, and the UN, are still engaged in trying to persuade the PA to return to the negotiating table with Israel. We will see if any of them is carrying a credible offer that will allow us to look into it seriously, al-Maliki told reporters in Ramallah. Otherwise, on the 23rd at 12:30 p.m., Abbas will submit the application. Al-Maliki his announcement confirmed a similar statement by a Fatah official Wednesday at a news conference in Ramallah. We are going to the United Nations. We are going to the Security Council, said Dr. Mahmoud Shatayeh, he went on to say, we are going to seek full membership based on the 1967 borders. Well, so where is this going to lead? I mean, everybody who's anyone in our State Department has been in Israel, going back and forth. Tony Blair has been there. Kathy Ashton, Foreign Minister of the European Union, is there. Of course, Tony Blair is the special envoy from the quartet, which is made up of the United States, Russia, the EU, and the United Nations. So he's there representing virtually all the world, doing everything in his power to head off the forcing of the United States to use their veto power. Now, why are they so anxious to avoid the use of veto power? Because Obama believes in a multilateral way of conducting business in the world. He believes that the nations of the world should live in harmony and be able to act in concert. And so every time the U.S. is forced to veto, it is defying the majority. And Obama is very much pained in having to do that. He doesn't want to do that. Nevertheless, he has to choose between that and allowing the United Nations to pass a resolution which will then put Israel into an outlaw status, because if that resolution were passed, accepted by the United Nations, that the Palestinian Authority became the state of Palestine within 1967 borders, then it would be mandated that Israel must immediately withdraw. Now, what are they going to do with those 550,000 Jews that are presently living in that area? Well, that's another problem for another time. And in addition to that, that means that the Temple Mount is back into Muslim hands, with being totally off limits to the Jewish people, which is not going to happen either. That even would mean that the Jews can no longer pray at the Western Wall. So this kind of a unilateral move is simply not going to fly. And, of course, it's interesting that President Obama suffered a terrible defeat in New York in the election there. The replacement for Representative Weiner has now been replaced by a Republican. A Republican won that seat in a very Jewish part of New York. The first time a Republican has won that seat since 1923. And it is reverberating through the Obama administration right now, because it is generally believed that without the Jewish vote, that the Democrats cannot win the election next year. So there's a loud and clear message that there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the Obama administration. They no longer trust him. The Jewish vote swung this election. So now then President Obama realizes, I better prove myself to be one of the best friends that the Jewish people ever had, and one of the best friends that Israel ever had, or else I will not be reelected in 2012. So all this is coming down just like gangbusters. Oh, by the way, we do want to take your calls on the air today. The number to call is 877 Endtime. I'm actually broadcasting right now from South Bend, Indiana. I will be in South Bend this evening. We always enjoy coming back here every year to this wonderful church, the United Pentecostal Church, pastored by Kenneth Mendenhall. The address where we will be this evening, 4609 South Ironwood Drive, and I hope all of you can make plans to be with us. That will be at 7 p.m. this evening at, one more time, 4609 South Ironwood Drive, right here in South Bend. Also, I want to tell you where we're going to be tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening we move to Indianapolis, Indiana, and we will be at the Lawrence Apostolic Church, 6202 Sunnyside Road, Indianapolis, Indiana. The time for that is 7:30 p.m. tomorrow evening. Once again, tomorrow night in Indianapolis at the Lawrence Apostolic Church, 6202 Sunnyside Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, and that is at 7:30 on Friday evening with Pastor Terry Long. So hope to see all of you in the Indianapolis area there. It's going to be a great time both tonight and tomorrow night. We have a lot to talk about. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you, I can't wait till the break. We now have broken 100,000 in our drive toward the translation project. As a matter of fact, we're up to $101,300.66. So what that means is we've got $18,700 to go, and we will be finished with this project to reach the world. So thank you for your continued generosity. Let's keep it going. We don't have very far to go, so let's get this thing done, because this message that the end time is now We prove, I don't believe anybody can go through the 14 prophecy lessons of understanding the end time and come away not believing in a God, not knowing that we are in the end time right now, not understanding the end time, not believing that the second coming of Jesus Christ is very soon. I don't believe anybody can possibly go through these incredible prophecy lessons. They're absolutely supernatural because they're from God's Word. So anyway, they'll be in the major languages of the world as of January 1. I'm sure we're going to make our goal. We haven't made it yet, but we're way down the pike. And so thank you. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to help us finish out, please call us 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com. Click on the donate button in the upper right-hand corner. It'll take you to the Translation Project page, and you can just enter in how much you'd like to give there. Let's take this thing over the top. We've only got $19,000 or so to go, and we're going to make it. I know we are, so I'm excited, and that will mean that 90%, I wish I were saying 100%, but 90% of the world's population will be able to hear and understand the prophecies that God specifically said he would put in the hands of the end-time generation. I don't have time to go through it all with you right now, but the Bible specifically states that the prophecies of the Bible would be sealed up until the time of the end. Well, this is the time of the end. The prophecies are no longer sealed. We do understand them now, but guess what? We're taking the last step in unsealing them because now we're putting them in the languages of the peoples of the world. And by the way, that other 10% that's going to bother some of you out there like it bothers me, we're going to figure out what we can do, the quickest way to get that other 10% covered. I have a feeling some of them may be in India, someplace like that. So just whisper a little prayer about that because we don't intend to neglect those people either. Okay, so we're talking today about this big new announcement just this morning that the Palestinian Authority is going to go to the UN Security Council, apply for full membership, and dare the United States of America to veto it. Now, we say we're going to veto it, but let me tell you, things are heating up in the Middle East. Let me tell you another breaking story today. Israeli-Greek Defense Pact is being invoked, has been invoked, versus Turkey's naval and air movements. Israel and Greece have invoked the Mutual Defense Pact they signed secretly only 12 days ago. Israel and Greece signed a secret pact 12 days ago in the light of heavy Turkish sea and air movements in the eastern Mediterranean. Now, here's what's happening. The decision to invoke this secret military pact was decided in a long nocturnal phone conversation Wednesday night, September the 14th, between Israeli and Greek Prime Ministers Benjamin Netanyahu and George Papadopoulos. He's the leader of Greece. And at Israel's expanded cabinet of 8, which was called into session over the Turkish threat to its offshore oil and gas rigs. Now, Israel has been just absolutely euphoric because they have discovered these gas deposits, enough natural gas to last over 100 years, including to sell to others. So it's going to be a source of great income and great enrichment to the nation of Israel. Well, now Turkey says, we want part of that action, and we're willing to use our military to enforce our claim to part of it. So what does Greece and Israel do? They've invoked their secret military pact yesterday.
Maybe you've listened to Politics and Religion for years, and every time you hear us talk about End Time's free weekly e-newsletter, you say to yourself, today is the day I go to endtime.com and sign up. But the teacher from school calls, Junior's sick, your husband texts you a picture of the mailbox that Susie ran over while learning to back out of the driveway, and as you try to get out of the door, your boss is waiting for that detailed report that was actually due yesterday. All of a sudden, convenience is not on your side, and now the e-newsletter is the last thing on your mind. We now offer an easy-to-use feature that is perfect for those of you that have little time to spare. Just text the word End Time to the number 22828. It's that easy. Text ENDTIME to the number 22828. That's ENDTIME to the number 22828.
William Koenig is the author of Eye to Eye, Facing the Consequences of Dividing Israel, in which he contends that America's 12 costliest hurricanes and 2 largest terrorism events began within 24 hours of U.S. presidents applying pressure on Israel to trade her land for promises of peace and security. Are each one of these record-setting events just a coincidence or awe-inspiring signs that God is actively involved in the affairs of Israel? Find out on Tuesday, September 27th on Politics and Religion.
Tired of the same old boring TV? Tired of the not-so-reality TV? We have the answer. Tune in to the exciting show that keeps you up to date with current events. Hope, meaning, answers. That is the message that Irvin Baxter's End of the Age series represents. You can tune in every Sunday on Daystar at 10:30 p.m., Mondays on the Church Channel at 9 p.m., or tune in to TBN on Wednesday mornings at 7 a.m., all Central Standard Time. Get informed today.
Well, it's absolutely amazing what is happening. Could you imagine that Israel and Greece would become military allies? Would you have foreseen that 3 years ago? Not me. I wouldn't have. But their relations have been warming. As a matter of fact, Israel actually conducted a trial run, an air run, because Greece is just about as far from Israel as Iran is. So Israel, maybe a year ago or so, actually did a mock flight as though they were going to attack Iran, but they went toward Greece and back to test everything as a trial run, and Greece was complicit with that. So that's when I understood that ties between Israel and Greece were definitely warming. Now, Israel and Turkey had been close, so close that they actually conducted joint military maneuvers until about a year ago. However, that's all come unraveled now because one thing's happened. Turkey has a much more Islamic government than before. And if Mr. Erdogan had his way, he would probably implement Sharia law, but most of the Turkish people will not stand for it. The Turkish people have a history of being very Muslim, like 98% Muslim, and yet they don't want to live under Muslim law. They don't want the women to have to wear headscarves or the burqas or whatever else that normally is required, even though they are very much Muslim. They don't want Muslim law to be forced upon the people. They want it to be a matter of goodwill. So consequently, even though they've elected a very Muslim government right now, yet at the same time, what's happened is a couple of times when they would get a government that was very Muslim that started to push too hard, trying to twist the people's arms to do certain things, the military has come in and overthrown the government and replaced the government. And the military has vowed that they will always do that. They're not going to allow Turkey to become a radical religious state. So that's an interesting twist where Turkey is concerned. Whether that will always be that way or not, I don't know. We do know, however, that Turkey is going to be involved at the Battle of Armageddon against Israel. And while I was watching all this friendship between Israel and Turkey, I mean, Turkey sold just incredible amounts of water to Israel. They had very liberal trade policies, and like I said, Israel, the United States, and Turkey actually conducted military maneuvers together until this last year. Now all that has come unraveled because of the attack on the flotilla, where Israel had to board a ship that was determined to land at Gaza, and then there was resistance on the ship. 9 people died, and everything has absolutely come unraveled from that time to this. Okay, now let me bring you up to speed, then we're going to come to the phones. Real quick, concerning what's happening between Greece and Israel. The Greek Prime Minister added to the information recorded so far on Turkish fleet movements in the Aegean and Mediterranean seas. He was particularly concerned by the observation flights suddenly increased in the past 48 hours over the Greek island of Castellariza in the southeast Mediterranean, just 2 kilometers from the Turkish coast. So Greece has an island that belongs to her that's only 2 kilometers, just a little over a mile, from the Turkish coast, and the flights over this little island have increased dramatically over the past 48 hours. So Greece became very nervous. Of course, Turkey is not an insignificant country. I think they have a population of around 80 million or so. So those flights, those reconnaissance flights over the island of Castellariza, those flights have been accompanied by fighter combat jets. So that's making Athens really nervous. It makes them fear a Turkish attack against the island. And the population of the island is only about 1,000. Now, in the meantime, Israel suspects that a Turkish attack on the Greek island will be the signal for Turkish military aggression against Israel's oil and gas platforms located in the Mediterranean between Israel and Cyprus. So you can see at the bottom of this again is oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas. If you dig through all of the information and misinformation in Libya, you're going to find out that Libya has some of the finest oil reserves in the world. They have what's called sweet crude. It doesn't take much refinement, whereas Saudi Arabia's crude has a lot of sulfur in it. You've got to refine it a lot. Consequently, Libya's crude is very desirable, and so that's much of what the conflict in Libya is all about. Well, let's get to the phones now. JT is anchoring the program back at the studio, and so JT, let's go to our callers now.
All right, Irvin, we're going to get started today up in Canada, where Tim is listening or watching there on the internet. Tim, you're on Politics and Religion with Irvin Baxter. Welcome.
Hi, Irvin. It's good to speak with you today. I know that you've mentioned in the past that you were going to get to studying the feast days and the prophetic significance of those. Have you gotten time to do that yet?
Very little, actually, Tim, and I'm glad you called to remind me because I think it is really important. Here's what I do know. I do know that there's a lot of significance there because several of those feast days have already been fulfilled by New Testament realities. And I'm sure you're familiar with this as well, but, Jesus actually said to his disciples, I must walk today and tomorrow, for it cannot be that a prophet would perish outside of Jerusalem. He was hurrying to get to Jerusalem so that he could be crucified on Preparation Day, which was the day before Passover, and then he was the Passover lamb that year. So the Passover feast had been kept for close to 1,500 years by the children of Israel since they left Egyptian bondage. Jesus fulfilled that on the very day. Well, then the crowning achievement of his ministry was the outpouring of the Holy Ghost on the day of Pentecost in Acts chapter number 2, and that happened on another prominent feast day, the Feast of Pentecost. When the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were with one accord in one place on that very day, which was also known as the Feast of Harvest. That's when the Holy Ghost fell. So I am very aware of the importance of these feasts, but to do the in-depth study that I want to do, I have not done it yet, Tim.
I was looking just at the Revelation 11 account of the 2 witnesses prophesying for 1,260 days. I just noted that was 3.5 years, not on the solar calendar, but on the lunar calendar that the Jews keep. Do you think there's significance to that?
When you go back and forth between the Jewish calendar and our calendar, it gets tricky. And the reason is because even though their year is a different length than our year, every 3 years they added an extra month to bring it back into a line with us, and every 19 years they do another adjustment. So we're back in perfect alignment every 19 years. So, a lot of people have tried to say that from a certain date to a certain date is more Jewish years than our years. That is not true. A lot of people trying to teach Daniel's 70 weeks back in Daniel chapter 9, verse number 24 through 27. They try to say, well, the commandment to rebuild Jerusalem was 445 BC, and then Jesus was crucified in 30 AD. That's 475 years. However, it's supposed to be 483 years. So what they do is say, well, the Jewish year is 360 days. Our year is 365 and a quarter days. That means that the Jewish is gaining 5 days and a quarter every year. So they take 5 days and a quarter, multiply it times the 475 years, and they say, see, they gained 8 years. There's 8 years there if you multiply that out. And therefore, there are 8 more Jewish years than there are normally our years according to our calendar. That is absolutely untrue because they adjust their calendars every 3 years and then every 19 years. So I don't know whether that's part of what you were considering or not there, Tim, but that is important for us to realize that.
I'm not absolutely certain of it, but it would appear to me that if they do have an agreement of sorts on the September 23rd, that it would be in synchronization with the feast days. So I encourage you, Irvin, to take a look at that, and I do appreciate everything you do.
Okay. Hey,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the reminder, Tim, because I do need to do that. I've got a to-do list, a little choke a horse. I was just going through it with my secretary yesterday, and I thought, I got to get this stuff done. So guess what? As soon as your message came up here, I just added to my to-do list that I needed to produce some things on the feast days. So sort of put that on your prayer list for me to get done. I appreciate it very, very much. Okay, I think we have time for another call, JT. Let's go back to the phones.
Sure thing. We can go over to Blake, who's in Arkansas. Blake, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yes, Irvin Baxter. I was reading in Revelation 12 last night, and I was coming up on about the European Union thing again, and I seen something with the woman riding on the beast, and I was looking at the European flag, and it has 12 stars around it, and it's gold, and it has like a blue side on it as well. Is that also from that woman on the Revelation?
Well, actually, that's a really interesting thing, Blake, because Catholics believe that the woman in Revelation 12 is the Virgin Mary. And they know that they are giving birth again and have now given birth to the Holy Roman Empire. So they wanted the Virgin Mary to be honored in the European Union. So when the man, Arsene Heights, when he designed their flag, he decided to put the 12 stars that he believes is around the Virgin Mary's head because of Revelation chapter number 12, to put those 12 stars around it to honor Mary in the reborn Holy Roman Empire. However, we know that in Revelation 12 that is not representing the Virgin Mary. That's representing the nation of Israel. The 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. The woman Israel was having the man-child Jesus, and the dragon tried to kill Jesus as soon as he was born. Herod the Great tried to put him to death. He did not succeed. The Bible says the man-child was caught up to God and to his throne, and then it jumps 2,000 years to our present time, and that's when Satan made war against heaven. And when he was cast down and banished from heaven, then he makes war, which hasn't happened yet. That'll happen soon. He will make war against Israel, the woman with the 12 stars for times and a half a time. So it is connected, but it's not biblically connected. The people who designed the flag connected it because they believe that woman is Mary.
Okay. Yeah, because I was doing a lot of studying up on that, and I thought that was really interesting. And plus, on the peace treaty and stuff, I was reading up on the Pope. Is he also doing that too with Israel and the Palestinians as well?
Well, you know, the Roman Catholic Church is very involved diplomatically. However, they operate in a different way. They operate behind the scenes. A lot of people think that the Roman Catholic Church has the finest diplomatic corps in the world because they have representatives in virtually every nation, and they got their ear to the ground. I mean, they got priests in every parish. And a lot of times, even governments will go to them for help with their diplomacy. Hey, thanks a lot, Blake. We'll be back.
17 million, Shanghai, China. 13 million, Moscow, Russia. 20 million, Mexico City, Mexico. This is the population of just a few cities that currently don't have understanding the end time. But imagine the billions of people in places like Paris, France, Rome, Italy, Cairo, Egypt, and many other cities throughout the world that currently need the end time message translated in their language. Irvin Baxter has a burden to get the End of the Age series, Understanding the End Time, translated into the 8 major languages of the world. The translation project will take a total of just $120,000. If you'd like to participate in reaching the world with this message, call 1-800-363-8463. Your gift of $1, $10, or $50 will make a difference. Call 1-800-END-TIME or visit endtime.com to help reach the world with the End Time message.
Do you ever hear the news and know that something's just not right? Do you ever read about politics and think, what is going on? Maybe you wonder what all this means for you and me. Well, we finally have some answers. Irvin Baxter has a 12-lesson series called Understanding the End Time that has aired throughout the world on TBN and Daystar. This series contains lessons like United States discovered in the Bible, Islam and Bible prophecy, and the 7 trumpets. The Bible says in Daniel 11:33, "They that understand among the people shall instruct many." Would you like to be one who understands end-time events so you can instruct your friends and loved ones? If your answer is yes, then don't miss out on Understanding the End Time with Irvin Baxter. Call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and request your copy of Understanding the End Time.
We'll be coming right back to the phones. Before we do, however, I do want to make sure that I remind you that we will be in South Bend, Indiana tonight. I know a lot of you may have just tuned us in, but we're going to be in South Bend this evening. We will be at the United Pentecostal Church of South Bend. We've been there every year for a long time. 4609 South Ironwood Drive, South Bend, Indiana, with Pastor Kenneth Mendenhall. It's going to be a great evening. I'm going to look forward to seeing all of you in the South Bend area there. It's always a great meeting here. South Bend's been so receptive to the prophecies of the Bible, and so we're certainly thankful for that. By the way, we're going to be going on television in South Bend soon, so that's going to be another exciting development that I'll be talking to you more about as time goes along. So anyway, very exciting. While I'm at it, let me tell you about tomorrow evening. We will be in Indianapolis, Indiana. We will be at the Lawrence Apostolic Church, 6202 Sunnyside Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, and that will be at 7:30. Tonight at South Bend at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night at Indianapolis, 7:30. So don't forget those two things. Lawrence Apostolic Church in Indianapolis on Friday evening, 6202 Sunnyside Road, Indianapolis, 7:30 p.m. So all of you in the Indianapolis area, I hope you will be joining us there. Now, before we get back to the phones real quick, I just got to tell you about what's going on because, I mean, this news is so absolutely huge. This article is entitled, Israeli-Greek Defense Pact Invoked versus Turkish Naval and Air Movements. Now, here's what's happening. Turkey is threatening Israel. Military sources surmise that in the first stage of this conflict, Israeli Navy and Air Forces are to be posted at Greek Mediterranean bases. Now, this defense pact that they've invoked is going to give Israel the right to put her Navy and Air Forces on some of the Greek islands that are just 2 kilometers off of the shore of Turkey. Furthermore, the 2 intelligence agencies are already sharing input. Up until now, Israel could only respond to a Turkish threat from its own borders. With a presence at Greek military bases, Israel will be able to operate from the rear of the Turkish forces in the event of an attack by those forces in the Mediterranean. Now, Ankara, which is the capital of Turkey, dictated conditions for Israel to obey in order to keep its navy afloat, free of Turkish aggression. Here's what Turkey says to Israel. This is what you have to do. 1, Israel vessels are prohibited from taking action against Turkish ships heading for the Gaza Strip. So Turkish government is saying, hey, we're going to come into Gaza and we're going to offload anything we want to offload there, and you're not going to have a thing to do with it. And if you stop us, then we're going to take military action against you. Do you understand what's going on? Israel has been enforcing this blockade for many years, but now Turkey decides she's going to call Israel out. Well, she better know what she's doing, because Israel is no cream puff. Israel's no pushover. Now, Erdogan has declared null and void the UN report confirming the legality of Israel's blockade of Gaza. I mean, the UN just issued a report last week that the blockade, that Israel's within rights to have this blockade to keep terrorist equipment and rockets from coming into Gazan territory. The second thing Turkey says is that Israeli warships crossing the 12-mile line bounding its territorial waters will be challenged by Turkish warships, which are instructed to approach them to within 100 meters and disable their weapons. Now think about this. This threat covers not only shipping bound for Gaza, but also Israel's oil and gas drilling platforms, which are more than 60 miles out to sea. Turkey says if we catch your ships out beyond your 12-mile border, we're going to approach you and disable your weapons. How do you do that? I don't know whether they're talking about firing on them or what, but this certainly here sounds like Turkey is rumbling for military action here. Then it goes on to say, but both Israel and Greece appear to know better. They decided to invoke their mutual defense pact, not before obtaining a green light from Washington. That means that they've already cleared this with the U.S. government, because they believe the Turkish threats indicated by its military movements are real and tangible. What do I say to all this? I say, wow, look at this new development in the Middle East. Okay, we got to get back to the phones now, JT, but I had to bring everybody up to speed. This is a huge, huge, huge development. Now, we know there's a war coming out of that part of the world. We don't know what the flashpoint is going to be. I never thought it would be Turkey, but all of a sudden, Turkey is just being so militant and so aggressive. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. So far, Israel's being very careful, very measured, not responding to all the rhetoric out of Turkey, and Turkey is looking like a little banty rooster bully, whereas Israel is coming across as a mature, careful nation. And so we'll see what happens next. Let's get back to the phones, though, JT. Let's go now.
Okay, Irvin, we're going to be going to Pennsylvania, where Alicia is listening. Alicia, what do you have on your mind today?
Yes, this is Alicia from Pennsylvania. Hello, Brother Baxter.
Hello, Alicia. Nice to hear from you.
It's been a while since I've called in, but, I hadn't, and I have a comment and then I'll hang up. It's just a quick comment. I hadn't heard until I heard you say that the vote in New York went to the Republicans. And I'll tell you, I just had to call in and say publicly, thank God, because I'm just so appreciative that those Jewish people up there in New York aren't being, like you said, cream puffs for the Democratic Party, and they are sending a message to Obama that they are not pleased with his past actions toward Israel. And I just hope that the rest of our beloved Jewish people will do the same and send the same message that they will not stand for this administration practically turning their backs on Israel. So that's my comment, and I'll hang up, and I thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you, Alicia. Now, let's make clear what's really happening here. President Obama is the first U.S. president to openly call for Israel to negotiate on the basis of 1967 borders. I mean, this was a take-your-breath-away moment when he did that. What was that, a couple of months ago now? And so that has really shocked the Jewish people when they realize that President Obama is willing to try to put Israel in that kind of a vice grip. And that's undoubtedly the reason why they are reacting so dramatically. Now, it's not just that. There are more issues than Israel. going on in New York. I mean, the economy is horrible. They've just approved same-sex marriage up there, and President Obama is responsible for all of those things. He has been the most aggressive pusher of the gay agenda ever in the White House or in U.S. government at all. He is the champion of same-sex marriage. Now, don't believe him when he says that he's still deciding on same-sex marriage. Don't you believe a word he's saying, because when California, for 5 months, the court ruled that same-sex marriage was legal, and for 5 months there were people lining up to be married. I think 18,000 couples married during that 5 months. And President Obama wrote a letter to the Gay, Lesbian, Transsexual Alliance and to those people, congratulating them on marrying the ones they love. And then he turns around and says he's not for same-sex marriage. If you're not for something, do you congratulate someone for doing it? I don't think so. He's not being truthful with us on that point. He was just plain politics there. But the fact is he has pushed the gay agenda so aggressively. So there's a lot of complicating factors. New York is just saying, look, our country is going to pieces right now. Our country is going down so fast, it's taking our breath away. We cannot do this anymore. I mean, well, anyway, that's what's going on. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, and the Jewish people have traditionally voted Democrat in the last election, they were 78% for Barack Obama. But now then all of a sudden, they have voted his guy out of office, and they have elected a Republican for the first time since 1923. If this is a portent of things to come, then 2012 is going to be a landslide. We don't know that yet. What we want, though, what we really want is a true touch of God upon this nation. Rather than be wrapped up in the politics of Republican and Democrat, more than that, we need someone who return us to a God-fearing basis, someone that will believe in the Constitution, really, not give it lip service, but really believe in it. Stop this insane deficit spending. You think you can borrow your way out of debt? Have you ever tried it? Some of us have tried it. Did not work. You know how you get out of debt? You buckle down, and you don't make any more debt, and you pay your bills 1 month at a time, and little by little by little you gain on that monster, and eventually the sun shines again, and then God smiles on you and sends you some extra money, and you pay off another bill and another bill. That's the way you get out of the hole, and that's the way we're going to get out of debt here in the United States of America. But this government just doesn't get it yet, that you got to quit borrowing. You can't borrow your way out of debt. All you do is dig the hole deeper and deeper. Okay, JT, I think we better save our callers for the next segment because we're right up against a break. All of you that are holding, though, we're going to try to get to every single one of you, so don't go away. Stay right there. Big breaking stories today, the biggest of all. Mahmoud Abbas has said we're going to the UN Security Council. We're going to force the United States to veto our bid. We want full membership. And then if the U.S. vetoes our bid, that's going to show the whole world. It's going to isolate Israel and the U.S. diplomatically. And a lot of people are nervous about that. I'm not. I'm glad that's where we are. I don't want us to be a part of the New World Order crowd. Of all this globalization that's taking place, I want the U.S. out of there. We have got to quit trying to run the world. We've got to quit trying to be a part of this one world government, because this one world government, the prophecies of the Bible are clear. It's going straight towards the arms of the Antichrist. And if the UN is part of it, we'll be a part of that Antichrist system. But I believe there's scriptural proof that there will be some nations that will not be a part of it. And there's quite a bit of evidence that the United States of America will not be a part of it either. That's what we want. We have a DVD called World Government Forming Now. And I really recommend that to you. If you haven't seen World Government Forming Now, you need to. Call us if you'd like to have your own copy. The number to call, 1-800-END-TIME. Just ask for World Government Forming Now.
Technology, technology, technology. I know what you're thinking. It isn't for me. Some I've heard say it's only for geeks. Well, not anymore. Digital downloading has become quite simple, so that for all of us not so up to date with technology, can do it with a breeze. Whether you're snowboarding in Alaska or climbing Mount Everest, or just simply sitting with some friends who think they know all the answers to Bible prophecy, you can now download tons of product from all your technical gadgets. Don't even ask me to name them. Go to endtime.com day or night, and in a matter of minutes, guess who looks like a genius? Your friends will be speechless. Go to www.endtime.com. That's ENDTIME.com. Click on shop and you're in business. Don't delay, download today, and become a part of the Endtime Geek Club.
Death, destruction, poverty, war, disease. These are only some of the things that are ahead in the end time. Want to know more? Join us in reaching out and informing the world that over 2 billion people will die. We as a nation can't hide from this. We have to tell everyone we know about the prophesied war that will start from the river Euphrates. Call now to get your copy of World War III and spread the message that the end time is now. Call 1-800-END-TIME.
Can't get enough of politics and religion? Well, neither can we. We have some great news for all of you Bible prophecy gurus. Think no, not pre-trib, different subject, pre-show. Irvin Baxter will be teaching the End of the Age series. Here's what you do. Just log on to endtime.com/radio Monday through Friday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time and click on the live webcast button. Cha-ching! More Bible prophecy? How confusing having a favorite show. We feel your pain. Call 1-800-END-TIME for more information.
It's the last segment of Politics and Religion for today. All of you that are holding, we're going to try to get through all of you. JT, let's go. Let's ask everyone to keep their questions to the point, and I'll try to do the same thing with my answers. Let's go.
All right, we're going to go to Georgia now, where Star is listening on the radio there. Star, you're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call.
Welcome, Star.
My question is, I don't know whether to trust President Obama or not in his suddenly coming pro-Israel when he treated Netanyahu the way he did when he came over here. On the 25th of August this year, he signed an executive, diversified, and inclusive order for everybody except white males to have jobs. But yet he's going around all these colleges and saying that this is jobs for everyone when he's completely and totally excluded the white male population from working. And with him doing things like this he says one thing and does another. Can we trust what he's going to do about the UN? Do you think he'll veto it, or do you think that he'll probably, maybe we won't know anything about, but sign it? And I'll hang up and let you answer that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Star. I do not know for positive. He has already said openly that they will veto it. Now, believe me, we will know about it. This is going to be very, very public. It's going to be headline news worldwide. So this is one of those things that cannot be done in a corner. It's going to be done openly. Now, what kind of deals may be struck behind the scenes, I cannot tell you. For instance, let's say that the Palestinians would, in their request, just ask for the recognition of a Palestinian state within borders yet to be negotiated. If they did that, I'm not so sure even Israel wouldn't vote for it, because Netanyahu himself has already openly endorsed a Palestinian state side by side with the nation of Israel. So that would be a shocker within itself if that did happen. And we know the diplomatic activity has been absolutely furious this week between Cathy Ashton, the foreign minister of the European Union representing 27 nations, Ban Ki-moon. They came up with a new formula. It was endorsed by the U.S., by the EU, and by Ban Ki-moon, the head of the United Nations, and they now have presented that. We haven't heard the details of that yet. Whether we will hear or not, I do not know. But nevertheless, we're going to have to wait and see. But they're not going to veto it secretly. That will be absolutely impossible because the minute it is vetoed or signed, it will be world news. I promise you. That's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see, Star. Back to you, JT.
All right, we're going to go to Josh up in Washington now. Josh, you're on the air.
Hello, Brother Irving. This is Josh up in Spokane, Washington. Yeah, I got a quick question for you. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of the radio. I read your book, China and the War with China and the Third Temple. Wonderful book, by the way. And I've been reading a lot of literature up on the end times. There's a teaching out there by a man named Hank Hanegraaff, and I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody out there, especially Christians, but I kind of grew up along the same lines of what he's out there saying. Basically, that Revelations, 95% of Revelations has already taken place. I guess when I was growing up, I kind of accepted that as the truth. But recently, especially in the last 5 years, and I found Endtime Ministries, I just feel like you guys, the way you approach it, it's just dead on. I feel my heart's being tugged toward your teaching, and I feel like you're right on the money as far as. My question to you is, I have family members who's still very conservative Lutheran. How would I go about approaching them to kind of looking at that view? I mean, it's pretty evident around us. Everything is happening just like it said. So, but I'll hang up and listen to your comment there.
Okay, Josh. The doctrine that you are referring to is called preterism. The word preterism means past, and it's the teaching that the prophecies are already past. It hinges around one belief, and that is that Armageddon happened in 70 A.D. when the Romans destroyed the city of Jerusalem. They claimed that the siege of the Romans against Jerusalem prior to 70 A.D. Was the Great Tribulation, and that the second coming of Jesus Christ, prophesied at the time of Armageddon, was fulfilled when Jesus came in judgment. So that's the doctrine. Is it true, or is there any way to easily prove it untrue? There is. By the way, I have 2 DVDs that we produced called Refuting Preterism, and I go in great detail. But you don't have to know all that to know that it's not a true doctrine. Here's what you have to know. When the Bible prophesies about Armageddon in Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 16, it says the Euphrates River will be dried up to make the way for the kings of the east to come down against Jerusalem for the battle of Armageddon. So it's the kings of the east that will attack Israel at Armageddon. Now, it says the only place in the whole Bible the word Armageddon is used is Revelation 16:16 at the end of this narrative, verse 12 through 16 of Revelation chapter number 16. So, the big question is this. Who attacked Israel in 70 A.D.? It was the Romans. So were the Romans kings of the east? No. Rome is due west of Israel. So, the Romans were not kings of the east, therefore that was not Armageddon, and preterism is a false viewpoint concerning Bible prophecy. Slam dunk. Hope that helps. Next caller. Let's go, JT.
All right, let's go up to Troy, who's in Georgia. Troy, you're on Politics and Religion. Welcome.
Yes, hi, Dr. Baxter. I just want to thank you for these people that you're going to be reaching, these 12 languages and everything. But my question is...
Hey, Troy, just 1 second. Can you flip your radio off real quick or else take us off a speaker?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. My question is, the Antichrist, is he born? Where is he going to be born? And is his ethnicity going to be Jewish because of he has to enter in the inner temple?
Well, first of all, the Bible tells us that the Antichrist will come out of the reborn Holy Roman Empire. I'm going to give you the quick version because we're running out of time. In Daniel 7, there's a 10-horned beast. Then another horn comes up among the 10. There in Daniel 7 it says these 10 horns are 10 kings that will be the power base of the Antichrist. He will then come up among the 10 uproot 3. That same prophecy is in Daniel 2, only this time the 10 kings are symbolized by 10 toes of iron mingled with clay. And it says there in verse 44, in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom that will never pass away and never be destroyed. The fact that the toes are of iron mingled with clay, in Daniel's image, the legs of iron was the Roman Empire, the feet and toes of iron mingled with clay is the Holy Roman. The iron is the Roman element. The clay mingled in is the religious element, which was born in 800 A.D. when Pope Leo III put the crown on the head of Charlemagne and said, I now crown you emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. So, since we know that the Antichrist comes up among the 10 kings and the 10 toes are from the Holy Roman Empire, so the Antichrist has to come up among the Holy Roman Empire, he's going to come out of Europe somewhere. Cannot tell you for sure where. Is he alive today? You better believe he is. We're too close to the wrapping up of everything for him not to be alive today. So hope that helps. And can't believe this. JT, let's take one more quick call because we're out of time right now, but we're going to cheat.
Okay, Irvin, let's go to Larry, who's also in Georgia. Larry, you're on Politics and Religion.
Reverend Baxter, do you believe Germany or France might also veto the Palestinians?
No, because Germany does not have veto power. There are 5 nations in the world with veto power on the UN Security Council. They are the United States, Great Britain, France, Russia, and China. So only one has to veto, and I don't know whether Great Britain or France would. Russia certainly would not, neither would China. But the U.S. has already said they will veto, but Germany does not have veto power, therefore she would not be able to exercise that at all. Now, would Germany vote for the resolution or against it? Germany has been over backwards to try to be pro-Israel because of the crimes the German people committed against Israel with the 6 million dead. As a matter of fact, Germany has sold Israel most of her naval submarines. They have the finest submarines in the world. They're the quietest. They're called Dolphin submarines. Right now, Israel has 3 of them, and Germany's getting ready to deliver 3 more. So Germany has really been over backwards to be pro-Israel, but whether that will end up being her true colors as she is right now emerging into great power, we'll have to wait and see, but Germany does not have veto power. Well, ladies and gentlemen, sorry we've run out of time. I really tried to get through, but I understand we didn't get to all the calls. But tomorrow's open line, so please call back, and we'll try it again. Hey, you've been great today. Great program. Thank you very much. So much happening right now. The next 7 days is going to be just absolutely full of the prophecies of the Bible. Let me remind you, if you live in the South Bend area, we will be at the South Bend United Pentecostal Church this evening at 7 p.m., 4609 South Ironwood Drive, South Bend, Indiana. There is no admission fee. Everybody's welcome to come. 7 p.m. I hope we will see you there tomorrow night in Indianapolis. And don't forget, if you could give to our translation project, we would appreciate it.
Politics and Religion is a production of Endtime Ministries. We are a daily 1-hour broadcast dedicated to bringing you the prophetic fulfillments happening every single day. If you would like to listen to archive programs, subscribe to Endtime Magazine, find a prophecy conference, order Endtime products, or subscribe to our free weekly e-newsletter called 1-800-ENDTIME. Or go to endtime.com and take advantage of everything that the website has to offer. To be a part of Endtime Ministries, partner with us and help this message go to the entire world. Endtime Ministries is a partner-supported ministry. We'd like to take a moment to thank all of our loyal partners and listeners for helping make Politics and Religion and Endtime Ministries possible.
If you'd like to have a copy of today's program, you can obtain it by simply calling us at 1-800-END-TIME, or you can go to our website, www.endtime.com. You can either order the physical product from there and it'll be shipped to you, or there's also a place there for you to digitally download it, and you can have it within minutes and be enjoying it in the privacy of your own home. I'm so excited to announce to you our 14 lessons making up our Understand the End Time Prophecy series. Our 14 lessons now include the United States discovered in the Bible, New World Order, is world government, Islam in Bible prophecy, World War III, Israel's God-given destiny, Israel, God's prophetic time clock, Holy Roman Empire reborn, Antichrist and the false prophet, 666 Mark of the Beast, the secret pact between Gorbachev and the Vatican, when all religions become one, the 7 trumpets, the second coming, and the kingdom of God established on earth. You will want to have all 14 of these marvelous prophecy lessons. If you go through these 14 DVDs, each of them 1 hour, you are going to know more about Bible prophecy than the average student graduating from theological seminary. We need to know where we are right now. Jesus Christ said, I tell you these things before they come to pass, so that when they do come to pass, you might believe. So the number to call is, one more time, 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com.
You can now have all 14 Understanding the End Time DVDs filmed in End Time's TV studio with green screen technology using beautiful full-screen graphics. All 14 hours are just $1.99. Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now.